Warning, we are not your attorneys. Please, don't take anything we say as legal advice. I'm Geoff.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Derrick.
And you are listening to the Not So Grand Jury,
which is now sponsored by Morwa P. LLC.
This episode, we're discussing the 2022 film Glass Onion, Rian Johnson's sequel to his brilliant whodunit, Knives Out. And let me say now, spoiler alert, because I have to get right into it for this discussion to make any sense. Legendary detective Benoit Blanc is enlisted by Helen Brand to help her investigate the suspicious death of her sister, fallen business magnate Andy Brand. Andy and her former business partner Miles Bron founded Alpha, a massive tech company. Alpha is developing a new hydrogen-based power system dubbed Clear, with a K, and the project caused a falling out between Andy and Miles that led to her being unceremoniously booted from the company. Helen and Blanc go to a small Greek island owned by Miles to get to the bottom of Andy's murder, and to find a napkin on which Andy once spelled out the core elements of the business that became Alpha. While they're there, another of Miles' guests on the island dies, poisoned by a drink laced with pineapple juice. Ultimately, Helen finds the napkin, and Blanc deduces that Miles killed Andy. When the detective confronts him, however, Miles burns the napkin and attempts to cover up his involvement in Andy's death. Helen, using a chunk of the clear hydrogen fuel, destroys Miles' home on the island in a massive explosion that also burns the Mona Lisa, which the Louvre loaned to Miles as a result of financial difficulties during the pandemic. And there the film ends. We previously did Knives Out, or at least Mike and I did Knives Out. You were not on that recording, Derrick.
Derrick was there. He just was quiet the whole time.
That's right. That's right. He was there in the room. Okay.
Yeah, just like really thinking.
Yeah, did you guys not notice that I was the third window on the Zoom in a darkened room, just eating trail mix the entire time?
Yep. No, just
counting old fashions. And
here's what's interesting about this movie. There's a lot, but it all blends together.
It does.
Mm-hmm. Like there really isn't. I mean, there's a lot of unique conversations that we could have, but it all sort of falls under the same generic categories of like stupidity and more stupidity, and Miles being real, like the dumbest smart guy ever known to man. And it turns out he's not even a smart guy.
Yep.
He's just a dumb guy.
He really leaned into that.
Imbreviate. It's not a word. What? It's not a real word. It kind of sounds like one, but it's just entirely made up. Now, reclamation, that is a word, but it's the wrong word. This entire day, a veritable minefield of malapropisms and factual errors.
Bask in the sun, swim in the Ionian Sea.
That is the Aegean Sea.
Oh, yeah, it is. It is.
His dock doesn't float. His wonder fuel is a disaster. His grasp of disruption theory is remedial at best. He didn't design the puzzle boxes. He didn't write the mystery. Et voila! It all adds up. The key to this entire case. And it was staring me right in the face. Like everyone in the world, I assumed Miles Bron was a complicated genius. But why? Look into the clear center of this glass onion. Miles Bron is an idiot.
The script leads into that too.
So interesting question for you
guys. But Ed
guys.
Norton's good casting for it.
No, Ed Norton's a phenomenal cast, is a great cast for Miles Bron. Interesting question for you guys, because I've probably watched this movie 3 or 4 times. And the first time I watched it, I caught none of the stupidity part. Like, I felt like he was just like just a weird, kooky, really smart guy who says weird things. I never sort of interpreted it as stupid until we started sort of getting throughout the movie. And I'm like, I'm curious if Ed Norton's playing this character weird or not. And I think eventually I got there, but like the initial was not that. I never thought of that for the first hour and a half of the movie.
there was like one thing that, so there's a bunch of dumb things he does that I now realize are not even pointed out by Blanc.
Right.
Mhm.
And the first one that caught me the first time I watched it was when he says do you guys know what car he has? The baby blue.
Yeah. That's a Ferrari. I can't remember the.
It's a Porsche 918. Do you know how many?
Okay.
And he
Whatever,
says
I'm
it's
not
one of
okay.
one. Do you know how many Porsche 918s they made?
Nope.
918.
Oh.
So it's one of one in the sense it's one
It's
of
one
90.
of like maybe it has a very special paint job or something, but it's one of 918.
Gotcha.
Right. So he generically says stupid things the entire time.
Well, I mean, he's playing Blackbird on the like guitar that Paul McCartney wrote it on, and then he just sort of tosses it in the sand, which is either a commentary on the wastefulness of the wealthy or him being an idiot.
Right. And I think they steered into the idiot part. And again, not things I necessarily noticed while I was watching on a first watch, but as you get into it, you discover it.
I wonder. So in the first Knives Out movie, Chris Evans, it's Chris Evans, right?
Mhm.
That's the Chris in it. Yeah, Chris Evans wears like some unusual things, and afterwards, like the commentary is like, oh, he was supposed to be like wearing very nice things that were poorly maintained, and that was supposed to be a character trait. But there's no way I, as a watcher, got that. It's like, oh, he's got a fancy sweater with holes in it. I just thought it was supposed to be like New York trendy kind of sweater.
Sure.
But this was this version of it where it's just more on the nose. He's more of a jackass idiot.
Mm-hmm. I keep trying to find a segue to the first topic we're going to discuss here, and
There isn't
nothing's
one.
coming. So
just fucking go for it, Jeff.
Yeah, there's a lot of idiocy from here. It is. There's a lot of idiocy from Miles Bron, but there's a really, really stupid statement made at the end of the film by our protagonist, Benoit Blanc.
Supposedly the smart guy.
Right, the smartest, the world's greatest detective, but he's not Batman.
You want to hire me to go to that island?
It's a stupid idea, right?
Listen, I want to be clear. Huh? I'm not Batman.
Sorry, had to. At the end of the film, and spoiler alert, I mean, obviously we just gave you a summary, but we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of this movie. It's a mystery whodunit kind of thing. We're going to talk about it. At the climax of the movie, Miles Bron burns the napkin that lays out the sort of underlying idea of what Alpha, his company, does. And because it is a key component of the fact that he should not be in charge of Alpha for some reason that we'll get to in a little bit. But this is their only physical evidence, is that he had this napkin. He specifically says,
The contents of that envelope and his possession of it were our only physical evidence.
Then about a minute later, he says this.
I need you to do something.
I'm sorry, Helen. I gave you the truth. This is when my jurisdiction ends. I have to answer to the police, the courts, the system. There's nothing I can do.
That is bullshit. There is so much that he could testify to, that she could testify to. Obviously, the other people in the room with them have already lied for Miles Bron, so there's the assumption that they would not tell the truth. But I wanted to explain, I thought we should pause and explain just how dumb that sentence is. Miles does say, that was your only physical evidence. All you have is he again uses a malapropism.
Wow, we got some big accusations flying around here. Except everybody seems to have very foggy recollection of what they actually saw, and there's nothing but totally circumspective evidence.
But cases always have, tons of testimonial evidence that, not having the smoking gun or the napkin or whatever is not fatal to, a criminal investigation that might result from this weekend. And I wanted to go through exactly how much that Benoit Blanc, at this point when he makes this statement, could testify to that would be permitted under the rules of evidence and would be indicative of Miles's guilt, of others, lack of credibility. So let's talk first about the napkin. Anyone can testify in court to what they themselves saw, things that you were present for. So Miles burning the napkin after Lionel specifically says, you kept it, the napkin, you didn't burn it. And then of course, Miles burns it because he also took that idea. He takes that idea from Lionel, just like he took the idea of having a loaded gun, on the table and turning off the lights from Benoit earlier.
The idea of the company itself.
The idea of the company itself. It's all in character. I mean, very consistent character.
Heavens. You dim-witted, brainless jackass! You're one murder with any panache at all, and you stole the whole idea from me.
But Blanc could testify to that. He could testify to Helen's description of the napkin and Miles' reaction to it. And you might think, if you're aware of the term hearsay, you might think he can't testify to what Helen said. I guess we should give a little summary of what hearsay is. If you've seen Law and Order, virtually any legal drama, you have heard the term hearsay, but they don't generally do a good job of describing what hearsay actually is and what it means and why you can't rely on it in court. And when, even if something is hearsay, you can rely on it in court in certain circumstances. But hearsay is a statement made out of court. I mean, the person is not under oath. They're not there to offer testimony or what have you. A statement made outside of court that is offered as evidence in court for the truth of the statement itself. Statements like that are not admissible as evidence at a trial or at summary judgment or what have you. But he can if he's not offering it for the truth of what Helen said. This is what Helen said.
The other side would object, and there would be
a clarification.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
because
an instruction to the jury if that was necessary, so on and so forth.
Yep.
Yeah. And he would be offering that statement from Helen about what this napkin had, the glass onion logo, because that statement prompted Miles' response of burning it. That is what's important. That statement, whether or not it was true, prompted Miles to burn it. And that's hugely indicative of his guilt because he's destroyed evidence. Then he could testify to Miles asking, wait a minute, after he's burned it, did anyone see this napkin? Because again, even though in this instance, where Helen has described this napkin that she found, that Andy found, and made its way to Miles, the fact that she made that statement, and specifically Miles' reaction to it, are not hearsay. Well, Miles' reaction to it isn't hearsay at all. He burned the napkin. That is not a statement made out of court. But Helen's...
Well, also, anything he said about it could also be introduced because he's the adverse party.
Right. And I'm going to touch on that immediately after this.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Gotcha.
I can't believe you throw off my flow like that, Mike. This has been so perfect so far. Listener, this is the third attempt at explaining hearsay. So Benoit Blanc could absolutely go on the stand and testify. Helen had a napkin in her hands. I didn't see its contents, but she described it this way. And when after she described it that way, Miles burned it. And that would be entirely admissible because whether or not Helen's statement is factually accurate is not why the statement is being entered into evidence. It's being entered into evidence because that statement is what prompted Miles to burn the napkin. That statement is what shows that what Miles was doing was destroying evidence. So because it's not being entered for the truth of the statement itself, it is not hearsay and therefore admissible in court.
Yeah.
Benoit could also testify to other statements that Miles makes that are relevant here. In particular, he, upon burning the napkin, asks, what napkin? Did anyone actually see this napkin?
What the hell did he do?
He just burned it.
Burned what? I didn't see anything.
You burned it.
Is someone making toast?
This will not stand.
Huh. Well, did you see this proof? This smoking napkin, Blanc? No. Did anybody?
That could also be admitted into evidence in court. It is, strictly speaking, hearsay, but it falls within one of the many exceptions to hearsay in the rules of evidence. And that is an opposing party's statement. And by the way, this is why you should not talk to the police if they are questioning you about a crime. If a statement is made by an opposing party in a lawsuit, if it is made by the defendant in a criminal matter and the prosecution is entering a statement they make into evidence, that statement is made by an opposing party and therefore falls within an exception. I'm misstating that. Forgive me. It doesn't fall within an exception.
It's not hearsay.
It's excluded from the scope of hearsay by the rule.
Right. Yep, right.
And if I didn't clarify that, we would get comments from any lawyers who are listening that I screwed that up.
For non-lawyers, this is a very annoying and minute description. There's a distinction between being excluded and accepted from hearsay.
Yeah,
and for our purposes, it doesn't really matter. But there is a difference.
Right.
Yes.
For the generic purpose of explaining to the non-lawyers out there.
Doesn't matter at all.
It doesn't matter. For us, it's really annoying, but it does matter.
Right. And regardless of whether it's excluded from the scope of hearsay or it's an exception to hearsay, Benoit Blanc could testify to it. And the reason that you don't want to generally talk to the cops is the prosecution can enter any statement that you make because you are an opposing party. If you try then to introduce any other statements that you made, you can't, because those statements were made by you and you are not an opposing party to yourself. So only the prosecution gets to introduce your statements. Now, unless they fall within some other exception, obviously. I think it's very much worth noting why one of the main reasons why I keep wanting to say "Shut the fuck up, Friday" exists. I don't know why I'm hesitant to. I think it's because my mother doesn't like it when I swear on the podcast,
and has emailed.
Has emailed us about swearing on the podcast. But nonetheless, "Shut the fuck up, Friday" is a thing.
Right. Also, I think
at least on law Twitter.
I think I've sworn more since Mrs. Blackwell has emailed me. So I apologize, sort of, but not really.
Sorry, Mom.
Yep, our apologies. And I think one thing, because I will say, and I think not everyone, a good chunk of people that go to law school, when they hear "not for the truth of the matter," their brains explode a little bit, right? Like, what are we talking about? And what you're really sort of thinking of is it's not the statement itself you want to get into evidence. It's how that statement had an impact on the listener or changed their conduct or whatever. That's really what you're trying to get in. And that's what happened here. It's and by the way, if Miles Bron testifies to what he says is on the napkin, and that's different from what Andy said, Blanc can actually testify to it because it's actually against sort of his, he's saying something against, Miles' interest. But what we're really talking about here is he can certainly be like, Andy said something was on the napkin, regardless if that's true or not. Miles Bron's initial reaction after being told, "Why didn't you burn it?" was to burn it. That's enough.
One other thing so in theory, if a court finds you destroyed evidence or didn't turn it over, they can find that it exists and that, they'll tell the jury, because we found that Miles Bron destroyed this napkin, you should be aware that there's a napkin, for purposes of this hearing, there's a napkin that says this and has, the Glass Onion logo on it or whatever.
Also, random question. So this obviously occurred in essentially real time, like in 2020, 2021. Yep. You're telling me no one had taken a photo of that shit at some point in time?
So, I mean, yeah.
I know we don't have proof of that, but I'm sorry. If you're telling me that Andy took that off of his desk and didn't go snap,
Well, also, if it's we're assuming this is a Facebook parallel or something like that. Like, there probably would have been books written about them already, or like articles. Like, it probably exists somewhere that somebody took a picture of the famous napkin before they had their big breakup.
Sure.
Right. So it's got to exist
of course,
out there. But anyway.
Andy took
There's
a
some movie
photo.
logic happening.
Andy took a photo of the envelope she put the napkin in and emailed that to the shitheads in air
but
quotes.
didn't have the picture of the actual. Yeah,
But didn't take a photo of the actual napkin. I don't buy that. I think
also,
she
I would say more importantly, like, the fact that it has this little logo on it means that it's real. No one could possibly forge a Glass Onion logo. Not for $100 million company. They wouldn't forge a little.
You can't tell me she didn't take 1,000 photos of that and put them on various drives in electronic places and print them out and put under a mattress. Like, she would have had, I would have had at least 100 copies somewhere.
And,
or emailed her attorney, I found it.
All of these are arguments that a defense attorney could make on behalf of Miles Bron.
Why don't you have a record that exists? Yeah. You have no record of this that exists older than,
It couldn't have been faked. It appears to be just an impression on the napkin that also has a bit of like a blue-green dye on it. So it's not like we're not forging, currency here. This is
this seems like the easiest that, like, I could make this. Right. This is a thing I could make at home. For $100 million company, I would get really good at making it.
Well, and also so Mike, is that the photo that you dropped into our link?
So I in the chat, and if we can find a way to put it in the notes, that'd be cool. Yeah. This is the actual the proof.
How many years ago was that supposedly written?
Also, what and I'll get into this in my section also.
12 years previous.
12 years previous.
That's what it was? Okay. That actually changes one of my facts.
That looks like it could have been written yesterday.
Yeah. But also, like, what? All right, so getting into my topic a little bit. What the fuck is this napkin? What does this prove?
Yeah.
We're gonna find
a listener who who hasn't seen it yet.
It's go
blow this up.
We're gonna put a link into the show notes, or we're gonna find a way to put it somewhere.
Yeah. So it's crypto management, exponential growth, worldwide accessibility, diversification,
yes,
crypto scalability, free app, code a delivery, machine. Is that machine learning or machine? Is that an H?
Machine. It looks like machine learn.
Okay, machine learn.
Dark web
efficacy, 6 little stick figures, manpower, timestamp, ICO, development scalability, and accessibility.
God damn.
And it's so I don't know what the fuck any of this means. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be like a patented idea that, like, yes, and now we're gonna have crypto, and I came up with the idea for crypto, so I have all the crypto. Or if it's a business idea, like we're founding a business, and I need, like, because there's 2 different paths that you would go down for ownership for this. Let me know what you guys think. Like, if this is a patentable idea, and she owns the intellectual property, okay, well there's an argument for that. If it's a business idea, and I call up my friends Geoff and Derrick, and I say, like, hey guys, I got an idea for business. We're going to start a podcast. It's the 3 of us. And then we start recording a podcast just because I, like, mentioned to them the idea, and then we all start working at the same time. Like, it would be tough to prove that, like, I own the business just because I mentioned it to them. Sure. The way you would normally do that is, like, you would start a business. I would call up my buddies Derrick and Geoff. Derrick and Geoff, and I think we did do it. We would go over some legal documents and decide who owns what and how it would, break down. If you're going to, and, like, obviously, like, every informal business does not have one of those when they start out. Definitely a good idea to start that earlier rather than later, or at least, actually write something down, and preferably on something better than a napkin. But also having the napkin, like, just owning that napkin doesn't prove that you started the company.
Right.
Like, I think.
And interestingly, as I'm looking at this image, this napkin is a great example of what's hearsay and not. This napkin is has someone's written. The napkin contains an out-of-court statement, and it'd be offered into evidence not because the gobbledygook we just described is truthful in any way, shape, or form. It would be offered into evidence as this is her handwriting. This is the napkin that originated at this at the Glass Onion during this meeting, and was the germination of the business. Not that the actual like scalability to development to timestamp to ICO to dark web efficacy is true or means anything whatsoever.
But they had the idea for a free app, Geoff.
Yes. I'm sure they would, really nothing's more disruptive than a free app.
I'm sure you're gonna get into it, Mike. In order for her to have owned any of this or like claim that like he couldn't have done this, something had to have been protectable under the IP laws, right? Like that's effectively where we're at.
Yes.
Right.
So yes. It could be like this is the founding document of the company, but it doesn't really have any
names
notes on it
or anything.
To get there. Unless we turn over the other side of the napkin and there's more there. There's like, this doesn't really seem like anything. Honestly, like all I can think about is like it's a MacGuffin, and it's a MacGuffin of like crypto buzzwords that like frankly like some jackass has made $1 million off of, way more than $1 million off of dumber shit than this, but there's nothing. Yeah, there's not a lot there for it to be a founding document. It would have to be like a patentable IP, like this is Mickey Mouse. I created Mickey Mouse on this napkin, which is clearly notarized and dated, and Walt Disney stole it from me. That would be like, oh yeah, and you should get a share of the profits of every use of Mickey for whatever.
Sure.
Could it?
It's interesting.
Could it work if it was a trade secret?
That's a good question.
I only say that because
it wasn't in use. It doesn't have to be in use to be a trade secret.
That may be right.
Wait, sorry. None of us really do. Or I don't do.
I do similar.
IP law.
Occasionally I have trade secret shit come my way, and I'm usually like, most of the time, what people think of a trade secret, it's like it's like because of what's happened over time, it became a trade secret. Coke's formula wasn't a trade secret before it became Coke's formula. Then it became a trade secret because of what it was. That's my understanding.
So trade secret. No. All right. First thing, trade secret has independent economic value. I cannot imagine this fucking napkin have independent economic value.
Right. So I think like that implies like the trade secret had to have been
also,
the reason for something. Like it had to have led to
reasonable
something.
effort to maintain its secrecy.
Yeah.
This is like a thing that is famous and like they've
Right. This is their business plan essentially.
Yeah.
So
Right. Listen, unless you turned over the napkin and it was
there's a lot of detailed notes.
And it's the six of us agree to form a company and no one else can be part of this company. Sign.
Yeah.
I don't really think this means anything.
Right.
No, it's nonsense. It's a MacGuffin.
Please explain what you got to explain what a MacGuffin is. You really do.
Oh, so MacGuffin's just it's the important thing that they're trying to get at the end of the movie. It's the briefcase in Pulp Fiction.
The Ark
it's
of
the
the
Maltese
Covenant.
Falcon. There's a million of them in different movies, but it's like this is the important thing that they really want to get for whatever reason. It's the plot device.
I feel like every Mission Impossible movie is centered around at least one MacGuffin.
Yeah, the virus is going to get out of the thing, or else we, So it's a MacGuffin. It's supposed to kind of lean into what happened to Eduardo in with Facebook. It's supposed to be, there's a bunch of high profile situations where like a founding member of a company is on the outs and here's their biopic. So there's a new one coming out, I think, about the woman who founded Bumble and her role with Tinder originally.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
It's funny, again, in looking at this napkin, it feels like Andy and Miles had sort of the same thought processes because very early in the movie, Lionel, the sort of lead researcher at Alpha, their company, is describing to, I don't know who they are. I kind of thought they were like members of the board or something.
Oh, yeah.
Other management. Some of Miles' other ideas that he like faxes to Lionel in the middle of the night.
They're great.
I know. But what can I do?
You can tell him.
Tell him
no.
Lionel, you're a scientist, not a publicist.
Exactly.
You can't keep making excuses for every one of Miles Bron's insane whims.
Genius always looks like insanity at first, though, right? Isn't that how he became Miles Bron? You guys have no idea. The man faxes me in the middle of the night. He loves his faxes. He sends me his ideas that I'm supposed to... You know what? You tell me. Genius or insanity? Uber for biospheres. I don't know. Okay, maybe. AI and dogs equals discourse. Okay, I mean, all night long. They just keep... But then... Remember child equals NFT? We all laughed. But then the Crypto Kids app paid for this building.
Delivery.
I mean, how do you argue with that?
I wiped it down.
Yeah, we know. Never bet against Bron. We know it, but he's asking us to put a volatile substance on a manned flight.
He won't listen. He just says make it work. And what if it works?
This is science, not a religion. Remember that, Lionel. Because if your name is on this and it fails, it will sink you forever.
That's all the same sort of gobbledygook that we have on the napkin.
Yeah, no,
they were
no worse of an idea than any of the other things that he put out that were also terrible ideas.
Right. And I'm just saying, they were kind of two peas in a pod when it comes to ridiculous. Well, I mean, within the fiction of the movie, it became very successful. But
remember, child equals NFT. We all laughed, but then the Crypto Kids app paid for this building.
It was a free app, guys. What a
so anything else you want to touch on with the
not
company
really.
IP?
I don't think that there's a very good argument that she wins based on the facts that we have.
Yeah.
I also don't have any idea what this fucking company does. So
I'm not sure Miles does.
No,
except for the hydrogen clear, whatever this new hydrogen fuel is. But that's again someone else's idea that he buys.
Andy and Miles created Alpha. It blows up. They bring everyone along for the ride. Miles' aspirations keep getting bigger and bigger. Cut to 2 years ago, Miles meets some sketchy Norwegian scientist at an ayahuasca ceremony in Peru who sells him on this whole new hydrogen fuel. He becomes obsessed, and he's willing to give the company's entire resources to launch this thing.
Effectively.
Which sounds very familiar. I spent a lot of time talking about the napkin and the various statements that Benoit, I keep wanting to say Miles, the various things that Benoit could testify to with regard to the events around the napkin. There's also Duke's murder that Miles would also be tried for. And I just wanted to circle back briefly and point out that Benoit could absolutely testify to seeing Miles hand Duke the pineapple poisoned drink, lay out the scheme with all his various fax machines, and that because he was in New York to give Whiskey the gift of a necklace at the time, he was therefore in New York at the time that Andy was killed.
could you get in that he said he was almost pancaked by him as a dying declaration?
So not as a dying declaration, because he didn't say it while he was dying.
Not dying. You were trying to get it in there as a statement against his interest, I guess, or against because he's going to say that he wasn't there.
Well, so it's Duke's statement, and so for it to be a statement against interest, which is the sort of previous term for an opposing party's statement. Okay. Duke is not the opposing party, nor is it against his own interest. It's against Miles's interest. So
you're right.
Now again, if you were, I'm thinking here of the scene at the pool where Miles interjects and says, Anderson Cooper's party.
Blanc, you telling us Miles killed Duke?
Yes.
Why?
Because the night Andy sent you all the emails, when Duke got to Andy's house early on his motorcycle, he saw Miles leaving. was almost struck by him. In fact, he told all of us. Right out in the open, he told us.
Iconic. You remember that night you almost pancaked me with it on the road outside of Andy's?
Anderson Cooper's birthday.
That night at Andy's.
Again, you could maybe make the argument that you're introducing it not for the fact that he was almost pancaked outside of Andy's house, but that Miles cuts him off and tries to cover up what he's saying by diverting to Anderson Cooper's party. But that feels like a stretch to me. But
I feel like it would be much easier to figure out, like, hey, this rare car that you have, you're willing to fly it across the world. We can probably track where it's been flown.
True. I mean, you could probably track the car, because I imagine Porsche has various ways to track their vehicles.
It's a car that was made in 2013. I don't know if there's like a special GPS for it.
Oh, was it? Okay. Well, 2013, I mean, still high-end vehicles like that.
There should be.
I imagine there's some Porsche equivalent to like OnStar or something. Having never been in a Porsche, I can't really say. Also, Benoit finds Duke's phone in Miles' pocket after Duke has died. His phone has gone missing. They can't find his phone. Turns out it's in Miles' back pocket the whole time, which is a fairly significant piece of evidence. So all of this is material that is definitely evidence, and Benoit could absolutely testify to. So his statement that, I have to answer to the police, the courts, the system. Yeah. And so fucking do it. Like, what's the problem? Is just kind of silly. However, that statement does lead to Helen taking some rather extreme measures in response, and I think Derrick is going to discuss that.
Hi everyone, Derrick here with a brief message. The Not So Grand Jury is sponsored by my law firm, Morwa PLLC. One of Morwa PLLC's many practice areas is business law. If you are a business owner or someone who is thinking of starting up a new or side business, you need a legal team who can efficiently provide you legal counsel, keeping you and your business away from potential legal issues, and if necessary, representing you in any disputes that do arise. We pride ourselves on being cost efficient while also getting to know our clients. If you want less stress and more support, you need more law. If you would like to set up a free consult, please click on the link in the show notes, visit our website, www.mooreatty.com, that's mooreatty.com, or email us at contact@mooreatty.com. And now, back to the show.
I'm just now realizing that the 6 stick figures represent the other main characters.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that's their founding document. Go on, Derrick.
Derrick is shaking his head vigorously. Don't take legal advice from Glass Onion.
Just because there are 6 weird stick figures does not mean that has changed anything.
Yeah.
It could be any 6 random humans.
It looks like if Charlie Day's character in Always Sunny wrote a founding document for a company.
Well, and by the way, if all 6 people were the same exact... Well, and by the way, it just says manpower for the record. So, like, it doesn't say, like...
But there's 6 of them. That must be, like...
But it doesn't say, like, founders. It doesn't say, like,
One of them doesn't have big muscles or something. You can't tell which one's which.
Right. David Bautista would want him to have very big rippling muscles in the same way that he wanted to be the last person on the title card. Like, he's got specific requests, and we just go along with it. Do I get to go talk about negligence now and how dumb this is?
I think so, yeah.
Sure.
Fun. Yeah. All right.
What's negligent about starting a fire in a crowded building?
Well, yeah, that's actually generally the case.
Very little is negligent about what she did there.
No, it's more reckless or intentional.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Yeah. Arson?
So I don't know why I agreed to do this. I'm honestly not 100% sure why I promised this, but it seemed like a cool thing to do. So I basically have decided to go back in time and pretend this movie was kind of a tort's final exam. And I got to try to figure out who is responsible for, one, burning the Mona Lisa, so one of the most famous paintings of all time, and 2, who is responsible for burning basically the Glass Onion, Miles Bron's house on the island.
You're ruined. And you did get your wish to forever be remembered in the same breath as the Mona Lisa.
I know if you've listened to our podcast, you've heard us mention the word tort before. I will briefly summarize it. A tort is not necessarily a French pastry. It is, but that's not what we're referring to. A tort is a wrongful act or omission that causes harm or loss to another party, which typically leads to a civil lawsuit for monetary damages. It's not a criminal claim. There can be criminal claims, but this is mostly focused on the civil aspect to it. One example of a tort is a negligence, which is where you basically failure to take proper care in doing something. And then it sort of goes up from there. There's recklessness, which is basically like, essentially intentional indifference to what you've done. And it keeps going further and further. Obviously here, there's a lot to talk about. I'm going to first talk about a couple different versions of negligence that the United States use. So apologies to those of you who are listening from outside the U.S., but there are different rules that courts apply in negligence depending upon what jurisdiction you're in. There is contributory negligence and there's comparative negligence. Me living in D.C., which is actually a contributory negligence state, I know a little bit more about this than I care to. So under the contributory negligence rule, if a plaintiff sues someone else claiming that they were negligent and caused harm in some way, if the plaintiff is to be found at all negligent and contributing to their own injury, they are barred from recovering essentially any damages. Now, DC does have some exceptions to that. Like it used to be, that was the case with like bicyclists who were like biking down the road, accidentally swerved a little to the right, got nailed because they swerved a little bit or they were even on the road. That's enough to be considered negligent. That has gone away, and there are certain exclusions in DC, but generally the rule is all or nothing. If you are 1% at fault, you cannot recover. DC is one of the jurisdictions. Virginia is also one, and there's a couple other states as well. Funny enough, the entire DMV area, Virginia, Maryland, and DC are all contributory negligence rules, where it's an all or nothing rule. There are some exceptions, but they generally are. Comparative negligence, which is the more, what we'll call the more modern rule, that's what I learned it when I was in law school, and it sounds like that's still the case, is where a plaintiff's recovery is reduced by their percentage of fault, but it's not eliminated. So like, even if you are 80% at fault and you sue someone else, you can still recover if it finds out that someone else is 20% responsible. Let's say you had total damages of $100,000, go in front of a jury says you're 80% responsible and the defendant's 20% responsible, you can still recover 20%, $20,000 in that case, which in fact, the other place I practiced, New York, that's sort of New York's rule, is just straight up comparative negligence. Other states have now modified that so that a plaintiff can only recover if their fault is below a certain threshold, such as like 50%, 50 or 51%. So if you are 49% responsible, you can recover. If you are 51% responsible, you can't recover. That's actually what most states use nowadays, is a sort of comparative negligence with a cap. Like you can't recover unless you are unless you are not mostly at fault, I think is the best way to describe that. So let's sort of get into kind of my theories on the glass onion. So the burning of the Mona Lisa. So we sort of end the film with essentially the Mona Lisa, one of the most famous paintings, being burned to a crisp. Obviously, Miles Bron has some significant fault. He created a back door where you could take off the glass from the Mona Lisa so it could be damaged. Why he did that, I do not know. He seemed very excited about it. It seems really dumb.
It was unclear to me why the Louvre would agree to loan it to him in a state where it's like, setting aside him having a button that opens the glass, even if it should be protected. If I remember right, it has a protective glass, but he made an arrangement where it would be open because he didn't want anything between it and him.
We can drop in the two clips, because the clip one is that he got it, as he says, blame it on the Pando, Blanc.
Come on.
Wait.
That's impossible, Miles.
Forgive my incredulity, but surely No, the Mona Lisa, that's property of the state. There's no way.
Blame it on the Pando, Blanc. The Louvre's closed. France needed money, and so I bought myself a little short-term loan.
Because basically France needed money. He wanted a loan. Apparently he used his they used his collateral or something stupid. I don't know.
There's some people online saying that it wasn't the real one, that the real one's on wood, so obviously he got fooled or something.
It's possible.
So that's an interesting take.
I could certainly see that.
It would go with the him being an idiot note.
Now, that leads to a different thing because he does say don't tell the insurance guy. So he has insurance on the real thing. So that leads to a whole other thing of like, is France responsible for like insurance fraud if they gave him not the right thing? Or he's lying, any of the above.
Yeah.
Because he then says, and we can drop this clip in, don't tell the insurance guys, but I had an override button put in. Where do you think it is? Pushes the gesture boy. That's where it is.
You know, it turns out the transport and the security was most of the cost. Check this out.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Don't tell the insurance guys, but I had a little override button installed.
Oh, yeah,
Where do you think it is?
Oh my gosh.
No, it's so freaking sensitive. A phone dings, it closes up. It's ridiculous, but I needed to be able to look her in the eyes without glass in between us.
So obviously, he is certainly decently at fault because he's allowed someone to easily do something to the Mona Lisa that would cause damage. Obviously, Helen throwing the clear and then actively using the button that he told her about to put it open to the fire is also at fault.
Yep.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but in law school, we talked about the but-for test.
Sure.
What's a but-for?
Would it have happened but for your actions? They both passed the but-for test. Because if it wasn't for him putting in the override, wouldn't have happened. If it wasn't for her pushing the override, wouldn't have happened.
How does the fact that, I mean, we're talking here about comparative negligence. I was about to say Andy's actions. Helen's actions are entirely intentional.
Correct.
So,
and
frankly,
so I mean, died. It would have been it was
manslaughter,
felony homicide. It would have been felony murder.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, sure, certainly,
because she's absolutely committing arson, which is
right. Yeah. Right, and we'll get to that about the burning of the house. The other interesting part, and we're going to get to this too, Blanc purposefully gives her the clear.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
With knowledge of what she's going to use it for. Like, you could easily show that. Any jury could easily conclude that he did that on purpose. So there's certainly some negligent percentages to him, too, that, like, he did that on purpose.
Sure.
We could also say that technically the rest of the folks, Lionel, Peg, Bertie, Claire, kept up in the ante, right? She started, throwing stuff on the ground, doing other things, and they were like, I'm in, and they just started upping the ante. You could see them sort of inciting a little bit because she didn't start the fire or anything until they started getting involved. I could see a jury saying that they're very slightly at fault, right? For like inciting it, upping the ante, whatever.
Okay, I guess for inciting it, I was thinking of it in terms of like them breaking stuff. All this, the whole scene where they're all breaking the various things.
But that's what leads to it, right? So she starts breaking stuff, then they start breaking stuff, and that's all of a sudden when she gets sort of upset and then starts burning stuff, which then leads to her taking the clear and firing it. So like there is a clear moment, and I've watched it back a couple times, where she jumps to like the next level. Now, would she have done that either way? Maybe.
Well, what I was going to say was, I think I've always assumed, or the sort of headcanon I created when watching this scene is, she's breaking things to make it difficult for someone to, chase and grab her as she's heading toward the Mona Lisa. She has this plan.
Oh, so her plan was, she had the plan all along, but he gave her the clear like not that much before that, right?
Right. Once he gives her the clear, she's like, this is what I'm going to do.
She's made the plan.
Because otherwise all the breaking of stuff doesn't make any sense. She's gonna throw the clear and cause an explosion regardless. So the headcanon for me is breaking things makes it harder for someone to run after her, because you could, fall and slip and fall on, well, the prototypical negligence, slip and fall. But and so the others breaking even more stuff would conceivably hinder her because it'd be more difficult for her to run. I don't know. I'm just trying to think through.
Yeah, because I didn't have that. That was not my headcanon at all. Mine was just, she just kept upping, and at one point just went, ooh, I know what I'm about to do. Like sort of almost looks down at the clear in her hand and goes, this is happening. Because what's also interesting is,
okay.
And Blanc effectively leaves at that point.
Oh yeah.
Apparently.
Oh, he knew an explosion was coming. He ran away.
He was halfway through a cigar on the dock by the time they made it down to him.
With the only other cast member that came over from Knives Out.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. Daryl, also known as Noah Segan, one of Ryan Johnson's friends. Yes. So anyway, the short version of all this is there is some like small sort of percentages you could give to the rest of the folks, maybe certainly a little bit to Blanc. What I'm curious about, and I got to assume, if like, especially given the intentionality of what Helen did, if, in the real world, the French government goes after Bron. Now, basically, it's a scenario where because he was holding it as security for a loan, obviously they don't have to pay back the loan. I'm going to guess there's something in that document that says if you destroy the goddamn Mona Lisa, we can come after you.
I would assume so. Some sort of liquidated damages of some
correct.
sort. Yeah.
So if they go after him for liquidated damages, he brings in Helen in the civil suit and claims against her. I got to assume even under the modified rules where if you are, more than 50% at fault, you can't recover. He's not above 50%. Yeah, he did screw up and he definitely has the button that allowed her to do it. She intentionally did it. I think a jury would say she's above 50% and she's mostly at fault, if I had to guess. But again, him putting in the override button, I'm having a hard time getting past that because that's what led to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is one of those things where I think this, as it were, this goes to the jury. This is not resolved before it gets to the jury. This is a fact issue.
The fact that everyone's actions here are intentional, does that change the calculus at all? Or is it comparative? Or are we talking about less about comparative negligence and more about comparative liability versus contributory liability?
Yeah. I mean, listen, there's a whole nother thing here where if we start getting into the intentionality of it, right? Which, because that does up it to recklessness and other things like that. Mm-hmm. I really just took this as a low level first year torts.
Gotcha.
Let's put the percentages out, right? Maybe that's not how it would go in real life if we had a civil trial, but that's how I sort of interpreted it as, let's imagine this is we are trying to explain to our professor who is mostly at fault. I think it's got to be Helen.
I would agree, yeah.
But there is also the question of it might be mostly Helen, but mostly in the sense that she might have the highest percentages. That doesn't mean she's above 50%. She could still be 40 with Blanc at fault, the others at fault, Bron at fault.
Let me throw a wrench into things and say, yes. Miles designed his house to be powered by clear. So the little piece of clear that Blanc hands to Helen probably would not have caused the destruction that ends up happening were it not for this particular setup in the Glass Onion house.
Now we get into the fun question of abnormally dangerous activity under tort law, which means now we're getting into a thing called strict liability. Fun times, fans. All right, so Geoff has just brought up an issue that thankfully I know at least a little bit about, which is essentially the scenario of if someone is doing what is called, and it's a legal term of art, an abnormally dangerous activity that results in harm, is a thing called strict liability, where it doesn't matter if they did it on purpose, it doesn't matter if they were negligent or not. If that thing caused damage, you are at fault. So we have now jumped into a whole area, and I'm not going to have any idea how this gets interpreted if this was a real trial. Like, does that trump everything? You have created an abnormally dangerous situation where a very small piece of something could have blown up everything, including the most famous painting in the world. Screw it. It's so abnormally dangerous. You're at fault for everything.
Yeah. And he knew that there was that risk. He went ahead and did it anyway.
No.
Andy, come on. This is it.
No. This is not a startup. This could blow up the world.
Yeah.
No, literally, Miles. This could blow up the world. The reality distortion field ends here. I can't let you do this.
What do you mean you can't let me?
I'll walk. And I'll take half the company to stop you from using it for this.
I don't hate that, Geoff.
We should note that this is all happening in Greece, which is not a common law jurisdiction. It is a civil jurisdiction. They have completely different rules. We are assuming that essentially the events of the movie have been lifted out of Greece and dropped into New York or some equivalent U.S. jurisdiction. None of us are going to expound upon Greek law because none of us have any idea.
Nope.
No. Why would I know that? I'm actually very quickly looking it up here, hoping that they were just going to say it's the same thing as the U.S., but I didn't see that. So, moving on. So again, to Jeff's point, like we're not sitting here and being able to identify the exact law. I'm just more, again, it was more of a sort of theoretical thought experiment.
Right.
But the other one, so to now pivot to away from the Mona Lisa to the burning of Bron's house, I thought, I was about to say, until Geoff ruined my flow, I was about to say, but no, I actually love this, that like Helen is significantly at fault.
Oh,
she basically started
absolutely.
everything. She lit the fire. Yeah. She threw the clear. Blanc is actually at fault because he gave her the clear. But now you've just added the whole abnormally dangerous thing, and my brain's hurting right now because there's a very good chance that by having his house run by such an abnormally dangerous thing, which Clear could arguably be considered one, would it be shocking if there was a small little fire that blew the whole thing up? And
what happens if because Helen throws the clear, which she knows to be a volatile substance, into a fire. Both she and Bron now have engaged in these dangerous activities. So strict liability for, the proximate cause is Helen throwing the clear in.
Right. It's fun. Or horrible. More horrible than fun, but it's interesting.
Well, I would not take this case.
Meanwhile, Blanc,
actually, with the money on the line, I would definitely take this case.
Oh, right. With the amount of money
on
the line.
Let the chips fall where they may.
Every single one of my friends who is a solo practitioner is going to get hired by my firm, and we are going to litigate the hell out of this case. But meanwhile, Blanc is almost like the wizard behind the curtain, like handing her the clear and then going off to smoke a cigar, which that sounds like a good way to handle this. But yeah, so listen, I think the short version of all of this is that there's a lot going on here. There's a lot of stupidity going on here. How anything got successful from these idiots is shocking to me. But yet, this happens. There are stories out there of like a couple bros who are 20 years old coming up with an idea and it sells for multi-million-dollars.
Yep.
And this is not terrible. This is not terribly different.
Go see The Social Network and then listen to our episode on The Social Network from the first run, which you can't listen to. Sorry.
Okay. Well, that's really helpful, Geoff. Maybe we'll release that at some point. Well,
Moving on.
This leads me to a question, and I know I sort of briefly hit it before, but I'm going to ask the question directly now that we've talked through it. Is Blanc a moron?
Okay, so in the first movie, they famously say,
God, you're not much of a detective, are you?
Well, to be fair, you make a pretty lousy murderer. Perhaps we deserve each other.
Yeah, his whole plan is have someone start a fire and hope that nobody gets hurt in a massive explosion. That's his literal plan.
He's either an idiot or he doesn't care what happens to any of the people in this room.
He's so dumb that it's brilliant.
So dumb. It's
Drop the
brilliant. It's
clip in
just
here.
dumb. It's just dumb.
That has been one of my favorite quotes for the last 3 years. One of my favorite gifts.
It's so dumb.
It's so dumb. It's brilliant.
No! It's just dumb.
It's just
dumb.
It's just dumb.
Listen, I will be very curious when the third comes out if he's still an idiot or if they've made him smart. I mean, listen, he obviously acknowledges things, he sees things, he's able to sort of like
he deduced the murder mystery game right away.
He has a sense of deduction, but I feel like he's also an idiot when it comes to sort of like you're supposed to be one of the best private investigators in the world. You're telling me you haven't worked with cops before or testified or done any of that shit?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, maybe more importantly, like he knows that it's a dangerous thing to bring this person there. He decides not to, and she convinces him by saying, "Yeah, but I wanna."
Is this safe?
No. One person will know the truth about you. From the moment you arrive on that island, the killer will know who you are and what you are doing. And they certainly wouldn't hesitate to kill again if it covers their tracks. And I'm a detective, Helen. I'm not a bodyguard. I'm sorry. I can't help you.
One of those shitheads killed my sister. Do you really think we can get the son of a bitch?
I mean, just an amazing argument right there. Just victory. Yeah, there's certain parts about his character that just don't make any sense. Because if you are hypothetically one of the best investigators in the world, it means you have to go from step 0 to step 100 and put the person in jail or get the money or whatever it is. Which means you got to be able to know how to get to that last step.
Sure.
This isn't it. Like the fact that he actively said, I can't do anything now. Or is he so smart that he knew he could do all that stuff, but he still wanted her to destroy the shit because he hates Bron so much?
That could be. Maybe he knew we were going to do this podcast.
Daniel Craig, if you'd like to call in.
I think he's very smart just in a world where there's no practical knowledge of... I mean, the explosion should have killed everybody.
It looks like it did.
Yeah.
When I first watched the movie, I'm like, is everyone dead?
Oh, they're all dead. Okay.
What an ending.
Yeah. The twist is that Blanc did it.
They all died. Yeah. Honestly, that'd be a great twist.
First time I watched the movie, I assumed at that moment everyone's dead, including Blanc, because I didn't even realize that he had been gone at that point.
Right.
And that the only one left is Daryl.
So for whatever it's worth, originally when they were making the first sequel, A, they didn't want to have the name Knives Out, and it was just going to be Glass Onion. It was going to be a self-contained story. And B, the character of Benoit Blanc was going to have a different accent for no reason.
Interesting.
And they weren't going to acknowledge it at all. And I so wish they had done that. Just every movie, he's a slightly different, weird accent for no reason.
But never French.
Sure, maybe it would be. Maybe I don't know. Ed Norton in the flashback scene where they're showing. I'm sure Derrick has realized this by now. Ed Norton in the flashback scene where they're at the old bar. Ed Norton is dressed as Derrick's favorite person, Tom Cruise.
He looks exactly like him. Yeah. And there is a very good article that we can link to that lists all the Easter eggs out. It's got that one. It also has that he dressed like, was it like Steve Jobs in one of them too?
That
where
makes
he's
sense,
got the blacks.
On the magazine cover, he's
right.
Yeah.
Right.
He is a send up of quite a few people.
Well, and like, I love the random Easter eggs, and I also love the Easter eggs that came from the first movie that sort of fall into the second movie that we'll link to the site that has a bunch of the Easter eggs. I caught one of them which I thought was hilarious, which was Serena Williams holding Gravity's Rainbow.
Oh,
it is one of my favorite random Easter eggs I've ever seen.
I've never noticed that. I'm going to have to go back and look at that.
I actually caught that one on like my second or third watch, so it wasn't for this podcast, but I caught it, and I saw it because I had watched them back to back.
Okay,
and I remember him mentioning in the first one, like, you know,
I anticipate the terminus of Gravity's Rainbow.
Gravity's Rainbow.
It's a novel.
Yeah, I know. I haven't read it, though.
Neither have I. Nobody has. But I like the title.
Like the Gravity's Rainbow, like the one book that no one's ever read. It's long, it's whatever. And I remember her holding it going, that's hilarious. Like that, like Serena Williams is literally sitting there, technically in Miles Bron's home, virtually waiting for someone to work out with her. She's so bored, she's reading Gravity's Rainbow, which I think is hilarious. I also love the Joseph Gordon-Levitt has now been in every single one of Rian Johnson's films because he does the dong.
Well, what is that?
That's the hourly dong. You know, I got Phil Glass to compose that.
It's Joseph Gordon-Levitt's giant dong.
Was he in Rian Johnson's Star Wars movie?
I think he's supposed to be somebody. He and
something just like
Daniel Craig are supposed to be stormtroopers. Is how I heard it. I have no idea if they actually are.
I am told that I have read. I say I've been told. It's like fucking. Believe it or not, Joseph Gordon-Levitt didn't call me up before this podcast and tell me the whole deets. But everything I have read indicates that he has been in every single one of Rian Johnson's films.
Okay.
Also, Noah Segan is in a vast majority of them too, which is also fun.
Yeah, that was the highlight of the movie. I love
Daryl. Daryl's a phenomenal character that makes no sense, and I love every part of it.
We got a great weekend. Just our gang, just us.
Hey!
Hey, bro.
Not here.
Who's that?
That's Daryl. He's just staying here. He's going through some things, but he's not part of the experience at all. Okay.
The one other sort of random thing that I liked, and this sort of goes to the whole like Miles being a moron, is the one of the paintings that they acknowledge is the Rothko, the two-tone painting, which is just red and blue. It's upside down. Like, not that anyone would notice that, but like if someone who's supposedly, you know, is this highfalutin person who knows paintings, has a Mona Lisa, blah, 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 you'd think he'd know what direction to hang the goddamn Rothko. So I think that's again, I love the attention to detail. For the most part, I love Rian Johnson's films. I think he does a really good job. He takes certain things in different directions depending upon the films. I know people hate that, but I just love the attention to detail of his films.
I think we can get into the ratings now if you want to
jump on in.
Give yours. Yeah. So I love Rian Johnson's movies. I think I can actually go on his filmography real quick. I've seen most of his movies. I didn't realize he did Poker Face, and I haven't watched Poker Face yet, but I've seen most of his movies. He has this ability to like make an amazing amazing and then make a meh movie.
Sure.
And very often they're in sequence of like great, great. So the first Knives Out movie is like probably pretty high on my all-time favorite movies rankings. I love that movie. This was a solid movie. I enjoyed it more on the second watch than I did originally. It's very solid. I don't hate it. I think it's just on the positive side of the verdict here. As far as with the law, it didn't get anything right. It wasn't offensive. Like, it wasn't like the most offensively bad thing we've ever seen, but it got pretty much everything wrong it could. Jeff, you want to go next?
Sure, and I'm going to agree with you. Yeah, I enjoy this movie. I do tend to enjoy Rian Johnson's films. I liked Last Jedi when it came out, except for the Disney parts of it.
No, you're wrong. And that's your opinion there. It's just wrong.
That's fine. But I haven't actually rewatched it in quite some time because I find the like Canto Bight stuff so off-putting.
Oh yeah, that was terrible.
But I liked Looper. I really liked Brick. I even like he directed an episode of Terriers, which is a detective show that no one saw, but I thought was a lot of fun. And of course, I love Knives Out. So yeah, I enjoyed everyone in this. I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the structure of it, all of that, and also what the hell is Benoit Blanc talking about at the end? Because that's just wrong.
It was just a little too campy for me. I think that's like part of the. It couldn't get the right mix of like dramatic murder mystery and also can't like the funny scenes in Knives Out were like hilarious to me.
Sure.
Where this like some of the camp just couldn't carry it.
I think Knives Out is the superior film, but I enjoy this movie.
Yeah, I know. Like Knives Out, where the journey of the baseball in Knives Out is like this magical thing where it is constantly there. It is constantly like you try and get rid of it and it keeps running back. And like it didn't, the cinematography in this wasn't quite on that level.
Derrick?
I think we're a clean sweep. No on the law for various reasons. I will say every time I watch this movie, it gets slightly less enjoyable, but I think it's because I watched it for this specific purpose. And I was like the first couple watches, I think were both really good. The third watch, like, I liked it because I started seeing more of the random Easter eggs and I started catching on to more things early. But then it also, I think, makes the watch less great because, like,
I think I liked it more this watch than I had previously.
This most recent one was my least favorite watch, and I think it's because you're analyzing it for what it is and what it isn't, which is anything decent on the legal side.
What's your favorite random celebrity cameo or bit in this movie? Because mine is I think Ethan Hawke because I'm pretty sure he's playing himself. They just hired Ethan Hawke to spray a random thing in people's mouths and say, "Oh, you're good now."
I am having a hard time picking between there is a quick sequence of cameos between Hugh Grant being Benoit Blanc's partner.
Oh yeah,
and he's on a Zoom call with Natasha Lyonne, Angela Lansbury,
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Thank you. I was picturing him in Airplane and couldn't bring his name to the front of my head.
Stephen Sondheim's also on,
and Stephen Sondheim, who I don't recognize on sight, but like,
no, I wouldn't recognize them.
So I'll actually say that. So one, the Serena Williams one's my favorite because of the Rainbow's Galaxy thing. Like that's actually.
It's also just a very
funny really scene. Good scene, but that's really funny. But
Rainbow's Galaxy.
Yeah, but I think, watching it for the fourth time, there's a lot when Blanc is in the bathtub. Like the Among Us is sitting on his iPad, like just implying there's going to be some type of like weird, game that's going to happen. Every single one.
I gotta say, they did a really good job of making it like culturally relevant without being on the nose. Like, hey, here's a prominent video game. Here's Minecraft. It's Minecraft, guys.
Although, listen, now that I've just looked at the list of celebrities, you can't complain when Yo-Yo Ma shows up. And
that was great too. Yeah, and it's like an integral part of them figuring out the puzzle.
I think if I had to pick one, it's going to be Hugh Grant, and it's partly because he is holding a sourdough like starter jar.
Oh yeah,
which is
on his chin
so much COVID-19 like coded.
It really is like weirdly the perfect period piece where it's before this movie was being made, before we had N95s wildly available.
Yeah,
so Benoit Blanc has like a weird fabric one that's very stylish and like. It's just it is such an interesting time period of like, oh yeah, I experienced this. This is rough.
So I think if I had to pick one celebrity, it's Serena Williams for me. I think that's hilarious. But I love that Yo-Yo Ma is at Birdie's party. Why? I don't know, but I love it. And I want to be at that party to just talk to Yo-Yo Ma.
He's not just in her party.
Honestly, the whole party is pretty dope.
He's in her pod.
Yes,
Yeah.
her pod, which consists...
Like, honestly, Birdie's secretly a very cool character.
Right. She's an idiot.
Yeah, but you want to hang out with her.
Oh,
Don't tell me you wouldn't have a good time. That's for sure.
we didn't even get into the whole sweatshop thing. And
That's not. I'm not sure if that's even worth it.
I know.
Yeah,
I thought a sweatshop was making sweatpants.
Birdie, please tell me you did not think sweatshops are where they make sweatpants.
That was a good joke.
And same.
All right, gentlemen,
Good times.
listeners, have a good one.
The Not So Grand Jury is sponsored by Morwa P. LLC.
The opinions expressed in the Not So Grand Jury are those of the hosts themselves and not of their respective employers.
The theme music for the Not So Grand Jury is from Gustav Holst's Jupiter and is in the public domain.
If you'd like to get in touch with us, if you want to suggest future movies, or even if you want to offer corrections, you can email us at notsograndjury@gmail.com or message us on any of our social media accounts.
The Not So Grand Jury is copyright 2025, all rights reserved.